Every age believes itself unique. Every generation is convinced that its crises are unprecedented, its technologies revolutionary, and its dilemmas unlike any that came before. And yet, history repeatedly returns us to familiar questions: power and decline, prosperity and excess, memory and forgetting, and order and collapse. This book was born from a simple but unsettling observation. History does not merely progress, it revisits. The same patterns reappear, not as copies, but as echoes. Different names, different flags, different technologies, yet strikingly similar outcomes. What appears random begins to reveal structure. What seems chaotic begins to show rhythm. Many thinkers have attempted to explain this rhythm. Economists have described long waves of growth and contraction. Historians have traced the rise and fall of empires. Sociologists have mapped generational moods and recurring crises. Each approach captures something real, yet none alone is sufficient. This book proposes that something essential has been missing from these explanations: responsibility. History does not merely unfold, it responds. It tests, it weighs. Civilizations are not only shaped by technology or demographics or capital flows, they are shaped by the choices they make when confronted with abundance, scarcity, memory, and power. When those choices violate the principles that once sustained them, history answers not immediately, but inevitably. Drawing on ancient biblical sources, particularly Genesis 47:11, and on the symbolic structure of the numbers 4 and 7, this work introduces a framework of covenantal historical cycles. These cycles do not deny economic or social forces, they organize them within a larger moral architecture of time. The goal of this book is not prediction for its own sake, nor nostalgia. Its purpose is understanding, to recognize where we are within history's cycles, to grasp why similar crises return, and to ask the only question that ultimately matters: not what will happen, but what is being asked of us. This is a book about time. But more precisely, it is a book about time that holds us to account. First chapter. Time that is held to account. History is neither a straight line, nor a simple return to where it began. Nor is it chaos without meaning. History moves with depth, like a pendulum that swings, like a spiral that revisits the same ground, but never from the same height. Civilizations believe they advance, yet they repeatedly confront the same trials under different names and forms. To understand this movement and why it repeats has been one of humanity's enduring pursuits. Across centuries, thinkers have attempted to decipher the rhythm of historical time. Each has observed the process from a different angle. None has explained it fully. Yet taken together, their insights reveal a larger structure, an architecture of time that becomes visible only when their models are overlaid. Nikolai Kondratiev was the first to hear the long economic heartbeat. He observed that societies grow through great innovations: steam, steel, electricity, mass production, digital technology, and that each innovation lifts a long wave of prosperity that eventually exhausts itself. When technology no longer produces real gains in productivity, credit takes its place. Debt expands, tensions rise, and the wave breaks. Crisis does not arrive as punishment, it arrives as transition. It clears exhausted structures so that a new engine of growth can emerge. For Kondratiev, economic time moves in waves. William Strauss and Neil Howe listened to a different clock. They did not study machines or capital, but generations. They understood that human memory has limits. Those who survive a great crisis build institutions to prevent its return. Their children inherit stability and begin to question it. Their grandchildren forget entirely why those institutions existed. And so, roughly every 80 or 90 years, society enters a crisis that forces reconstruction. It is not technology that fails, but memory. For Strauss and Howe, social time moves through generational relay. Ray Dalio added a third dimension. He observed that prosperity breeds confidence, confidence breeds borrowing, and borrowing breeds inequality. As wealth concentrates, social cohesion weakens. Internal conflict grows just as external challenges intensify. When debt is high, currency weakens, legitimacy erodes, and the world order enters transition. Empires do not collapse overnight. They overstretch, overborrow, fragment, and are eventually replaced. For Dalio, geopolitical time moves through cycles of rise and replacement. Yet beneath these clocks lies a deeper one that measures neither productivity, nor generations, nor empires, but responsibility. This book proposes that history does not move solely through economic, social, or psychological forces. It also moves decisively through covenantal cycles. Drawing inspiration from Genesis 47:11 and the biblical symbolism of the numbers 4 and 7, Manuel Martínez argues that historical time is structured into expanding cycles of 28, 56, 84, 112, and 140 years. Each cycle does not erase the previous one, it deepens it. The 28-year cycle corrects. The 56-year cycle matures. The 84-year cycle tests. The 112-year cycle judges. The 140-year cycle completes or resets. At the center of this framework stands the 84-year cycle, roughly the length of a human lifetime. It is the span required for a society to move from living memory to complete forgetfulness. When those who endured the last great crisis are gone, history presents the same trial again, not because it is condemned to repeat itself, but because an unanswered question remains. Here is where the models converge. When a Kondratiev wave exhausts itself, economic strain rises. As generational memory fades, Strauss and Howe describe social cohesion fractures. When debt and inequality reach extremes, as Dalio explains, power destabilizes. And when all of this unfolds within a covenantal cycle, crisis becomes more than economic or political, it becomes moral. The essential distinction this book draws is clear. Kondratiev explains how growth runs out. Strauss-Howe explain how memory runs out. Dalio explains how power runs out. Martínez explains why history demands an answer. In this vision, history is not neutral. It observes, weighs, and evaluates. Each generation inherits an order and decides whether to honor it, reform it, or betray it. Crises are therefore never accidental. They are moments of revelation. They reveal which institutions were real and which were hollow, which values were lived and which merely proclaimed, whether the covenant sustaining a society still stands or has been broken. History, then, is not a closed circle or a mechanical oscillation. It is a spiral with moral memory. Names change, flags change, technologies change, but the questions remain. What did we do with what we were given? Did we learn or repeat? Did we keep faith or break it? The clocks continue to tick, whether we listen or not. And when the economy tightens, memory fades, power fractures, and the covenant is tested, time stops whispering and begins to speak. Not as punishment, but as judgment.